And then, of course, you need comfortable shoes. Guys, there are cobblestones here. It is not the time to take out your stilettos and trying to be cute. It is not the time. Ciao, y'all, NaturallyKenya here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to discuss some of the travel essentials for your trip to Italy. Because it is now officially spring, this video will be tailored more towards the spring and summer months, because as the tourists flow in, and these are the most popular months, I'd say, it's really important that you are packing the right items. Of course, these items usually take up most of your time in terms of preparation for your trip to Italy. And for sure, you want to make sure that your journey is memorable, but also comfortable, and you're well prepared for it. So if you're new here and you don't know who I am, my name is Kenya. Yes, like the country, and I'm an American girl living abroad in Rome, Italy for over 7.5 years at this point. And I just love to share all of my thoughts, tips to make your life abroad easier, and also some language learning info. You can also find that on my channel. Basically, my channel is a hub for everything life abroad. And if that sounds good to you, make sure to like this video, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload, and make sure to subscribe and join me on my journey of sharing my life abroad. So there are many tips I give you on your, let's say, your journey of preparation when it comes to a trip to Italy. And I want to start with some practical essentials that you really need to make sure you have in order before you start your trip. The first things that may be pretty obvious is that you need to make sure your passport, visa, and all your documents are in order. So if you're entering on a tourist visa, you can only stay here up to 90 days in the European Union, as I understand it. There's not going to be a possibility for you to stay longer than those 3 months. Now, that being said, make sure to check the expiration date on your passport as well. I know a few people that have said, hey, I'm coming to Italy. And unfortunately, their passport was expiring, I believe, in the 6 months. So you need a 6-month buffer date as well on the passport. If it's not 6 months, it must be 3. But let me double check and I'll put it in the video here. But it's really important that you have that in order before you make your way to Italy and really the European Union in general. Now, the next thing you want to make sure you have is a bit of cash and cards. Now, that being said, I recommend only traveling with the cards you will deem necessary for the trip. Don't travel with, I don't know, if you have 6 bank cards, like keep maybe 3 or take 3 on your trip or so. Just so you know, in Italy, it's not widely accepted to take American Express cards. So make sure you have a Visa or MasterCard as your main source of payment if that's what you're going to do with the card. Otherwise, for cash, you can actually withdraw cash here. So a lot of people think that it might be better to get some cash abroad and then come here. I personally think that it's perfectly fine to withdraw from an ATM here that is with a bank. So make sure whenever you are going to an ATM in Italy, you are using one that's affiliated with a bank and not one of these tourist traps on the side of the road with insane conversion fees. Make sure you're actually going to one that is connected to a branch of a bank. Okay, it's really important. And especially when you're exploring Italy, you may need some cash. But again, like I said, card is pretty widely accepted in Italy, much more now than it was 7.5 years ago when I arrived. And I don't think you have any need to carry more than 100, maximum 200 euros, honestly, in cash. If you want to go to a restaurant, you can always pay usually with a card. And then if you want to leave like a tip or something on the table, 5 euros or something like that, you can always have cash for that. So you can do a bit of cash and card combo. I see no need, honestly, to carry more than 100 euros or 200 euros at a time. Me personally speaking, living here, everything I pay usually with the card. And then if I want to leave like a tip or just do small purchases, maybe I'll have cash on hand. But it's not necessary to have thousands of dollars in cash. Absolutely not. Please don't do that. That's exactly how people get pickpocketed and money is stolen. Lots of money. Please don't set yourself up for that. So that if people do happen to pickpocket you, they lose or they gain what, $50 and a few of her credit cards that you can lock immediately on an app. So that's much better than them getting thousands of dollars. Be careful. Another thing you may want to consider is getting travel insurance just to protect your trip, your belongings, all of the above. Honestly speaking, I did not see the importance of this pre let's say, shutdown period, I would just travel and not really think much about it. But then, you know, being, let's say, blocked in Peru during that period, I realized just how important travel insurance is. So I really recommend that you get a bit. If it's not covered by your credit card, make sure you have it separately, just to cover your journey and any mishaps. Now, for the electronics, I would honestly say keep it simple. Don't come here with thousands of electronics, thousands of dollars of devices. Only pack what's essential. So that would be like your phone, the chargers. For that, maybe you want to pack an iPad or laptop. I would suggest packing either or, just to not have to carry a lot of items around with you. And then, of course, any headphones for journeys on trains, or, any noise cancellation devices on the airplane or on the trains if you want to take a nap. Now, in terms of a SIM card, personally, what I've been doing lately, as I travel abroad more often, and if I plan to be in more than one country, I've actually been using Google Fi as my SIM card source. So it does require you to activate in the US before you come abroad, but it basically has coverage in all countries in the world and various plans and packages for if you are going to explore in another country. So I suggest you sign up for that service, activate in the US. It's a possibility to activate an eSIM card, so you don't need an actual physical SIM card in your device. And I found that it is really useful for me, at least when I'm planning on traveling in multiple different countries on one trip. You also may need an adapter or universal converter to ensure that all of your electronic devices can work. These are easily found on Amazon. You can also get them here. So don't worry about it too much, because there are various, let's say, plug types in Italy, one with 2 larger pins and another one with 3 prongs. So you'll see that on your trip when you're here, but don't let it alarm you. You can pretty much buy the adapter at any electronics store. You can find it at the airport, at the train station. It may have a bit of a fee attached to it, a supplemental charge on top of it because of the convenience, but you can still find it here. You also want to make sure you have a portable power bank so you can charge your devices on the go, especially your phone, in case you're on long voyages where you may be away from, a plug and you need to charge your devices. You also may consider a travel pillow and blanket if you're trying to be super comfortable on your journey. And then again, you may want to utilize some earplugs and a mask as well if you want to block out the light and the noise when you're traveling. Pack travel size toiletries, but only the essentials. So like toothbrush, toothpaste, maybe a small shampoo and conditioner travel size. But you can get a lot of the toiletries here at the pharmacy, at the supermarket, in bigger sizes. So it's not necessary to pack all of this in your luggage unless you're particular about which shampoo, for example, you use. This is particularly important if you're arriving in the evening hours where maybe the pharmacy may be closed, but for the most part, it's not something you really need to worry about. Another thing I recommend packing is a first aid kit with any medications, prescriptions that you have. I also used to go on trips without this item as well, many, many times, along with the travel insurance. I'm not proud of myself for saying that, but I always think it's really important just to have some medications on hand, just in case you have an allergic reaction, just in case you have pain, just in case you accidentally cut your finger or foot or anything, to have bandages. It's really important to just have a small supply just in case something happens. I also think it's important to have a travel backpack or bag that is something you can just kind of throw things in on the go and, move on to the next site. I think it's really important to have something that's a bit flexible when it comes to exploring the city. It is, you can throw all of your items inside. You also may consider one of these reusable water bottles or collapsible water bottles as well that you can throw in the bag. And then, of course, if you are going to try to explore any of the cities by Google Maps, I recommend saving a map offline. And maybe I'll put the instructions in the description box below for you to actually understand how you can do this on your device. I found this to be super helpful just in case you don't have a SIM card in the phone or data's not working. You're still able to get around the city and know exactly where you should go. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that you travel with a travel phrase book, because now we have apps and I think it's just easier and lighter when you don't travel with them. But I will say that it's really important to at least learn some basic phrases like good morning, buongiorno, good evening, buonasera, because these will be very, very useful whenever you're trying to explore the city. You go in shops, you have to say something, guys. Sorry, you have to say hello. It's just respectful. And then obviously, if someone, brings you a coffee or a spritz, let's say, you have to say grazie, which is thank you. So please make sure you know at least those three on your trip, and you'll have a better time. Another element I'm really consider incorporating on my future trips is having a travel journal and like a pen to document particular moments from the trip. I would say that I this is just an ambition I have because I haven't done it all the time in the past, but I really would like to be more in the moment on my trips that I take and maybe recap the day in a journal or a small entry to just remember the small highlights from that particular day. And I think it's a great way to reflect back on how you experienced a city. So I totally recommend that you have a travel journal, maybe a pen, even maybe doing this electronically. So you can just reflect like in a future period, like, hey, that was such a nice experience. What a wonderful day that was. And remember the sights and the people you meet and what you explored. I do also always recommend carrying sunglasses. You never know how bright the day may be. You want to protect your eyes, but that also means don't forget to put on sunscreen. Okay, they go hand in hand. You also may consider travel locks for your suitcases and belongings. I think that can be super helpful. And then I think it's really important to always make copies or take photos, have some electronic record of all of your credit card information, front and back, as well as your passport. Just being able to access the information on hand, whether that is through a file or a phone photo or a copy in your suitcase. I think it's just really important to always have a log of all the important documentation that you have. In case something happens to them, you know how to recover them. Also, if you are in Italy for a longer period of time, I may suggest you actually get a travel clothesline. So it's very popular in Italy to not necessarily have a dryer in the house, and you will sometimes line dry your items. So just think about it and consider that in case you will have a washing machine. Let's say you have an apartment and you're staying long term, you may be able to wash those clothes, but you also may need to line dry them. So I suggest that. Also, make sure you have some Ziploc bags or waterproof pouches on hand just to protect your electronic devices if they're mixed in the suitcase a bit. And then, of course, if you are from the US, make sure to always register with the US government. There's a way to actually say, hey, I'm going to be in this country during this period, just to ensure that the US, for example, if you're American, they are aware that you're in the country and they can keep kind of tabs on you in case some event ever happens. I think this is really, really important. You register yourself. I believe it's called the step, is it the step program? I'm going to put it somewhere here. It's not coming to mind now, but it's really important because it came in handy also during that lockdown period when I was in Peru. Also, if I haven't mentioned already, it's very important to carry a reusable shopping bag as well, because when you go to these grocery stores or, small shops, usually they charge to give you a plastic bag, and that just can help you on your long-term plan whenever you're going here in the cities to kind of, collect all your items in the reusable bag and be on your merry way. Also, I want to mention some cultural essentials, at least while you're exploring Italy, particularly when it comes to modesty in the clothing when you're exploring religious sites. It's very, very important. So just be mindful of that and make sure you have clothing for that. You also may consider a scarf in case you're trying to cover your shoulders whenever you're visiting a site. And then, of course, you need comfortable shoes. Guys, there are cobblestones here. It is not the time to take out your stilettos and trying to be cute. It is not the time. Okay. I know it looks nice. It seems nice. It's not practical, so make sure you have comfortable shoes that you can walk in the cobblestones on. Also, don't forget your umbrella or raincoat, especially in the spring period. There will be unexpected rainfalls and showers at any point in time, and you need to be able to pivot and and be able to, cover your head, hair, clothing, because when it rains in Rome, it pours. Okay. Also, don't forget the hand sanitizer and tissues. You never know where you're going to be. And then also, I suggest buying a few snacks when you arrive, also on your travel here. Just a few things to have around in case you get a bit hungry. You can reach in for your almonds or your cashews or whatever, but you can get that at the grocery store here as well. Some other travel tips I would recommend for you is to pack lightly. I am almost 100% certain that whenever you come to Italy, you will be buying more items. It's just It's just in the nature of like a trip to Italy. It just happens so easily. So I suggest you pack lighter than you'd expect and have a bit more room to buy those purchases when you're here. Also, I highly encourage you to check the weather and tailor your packing accordingly. Another tip is that I suggest you kind of research a bit about the Italian local customs and what is expected. I'll give you a brief overview now just because we're talking together in this video. But it's really important to like respect the cultural norms. So if you are meeting, an old friend, you do give cheek kisses. And of course, in formal situations, it's a handshake, just like it is in many, many parts of the world. Also, you always wait to be seated by the waiter before ordering in a restaurant, usually. They usually tell you to wait unless they say, hey, like go over there, the table's available. But you always want to make sure that you kind of give them the respect of saying, hey, I'm here, just wondering if there's a table available before you just go sit down, assuming it is, and it's probably booked. Also, I do think modesty in your dress goes a long way, especially when visiting these religious sites. So just keep that in mind. And tips in Italy are not expected, but they are always appreciated. And many of the times it just depends on, the context. Maybe in a more luxurious restaurant, you may leave a 10% tip. But in general, people just round up, to the nearest euro or so, or add a few euros on top of it, on top of the bill. But it's never anything so exaggerated like we do in the US with 22%. It's never that much. It's always it's not expected, it's appreciated here. It's more like keep the change and you round up the bill. Also, of course, you say buongiorno for good morning, buonasera for good evening. Don't forget that. Also, I would suggest avoiding sensitive discussions like politics or religion unless you're invited to do so. Then, of course, you always say thank you, grazie and prego, which means you're welcome for any interactions. Also, another travel tip is to always stay hydrated. Luckily, in Rome, you can always find the Nassone, which are these water fountains that actually allow you to fill up your water bottles if you are thirsty. And I think it's just really, really important that you do stay hydrated. I know you want to drink the wine, but you need to drink the water with the wine, okay? And another travel tip I have is to be open to new experiences and new cuisines, especially in Rome. Eat the pasta, eat the matriciana, the cacio e pepe, the carbonara. Just eat anything that really connects you to the local culture, because this is the time to do it. Explore like the vibrant cafe culture, get a cappuccino, sit outside, get a spritz, people watch. Just embrace your full experience of being in Italy. And to expand a bit more on the clothing side of things, you want to embrace that like bella figura, as the Italians say, like the best way of presenting yourself. So make sure you actually have some travel essentials that can be utilized on your trip that is both classy but also well-fitting and like tailored. Italians really care about the way they present themselves to other people. It's not just about how you look, it's also about how you act. So unless you're going to the gym, leave the sporty clothing at home. It's a no-no over here. And honestly, I kind of recommend simply sticking to like a color scheme, like whites, beiges, browns, blacks, or I don't know, because I just feel like when you're on a longer trip, it's easier to just swap out and change items whenever they're more neutral. Although the white clothing may be a bit problematic with the possibility of stains from pasta sauce or just dirty chairs. So maybe beiges are better. Also, make sure you're wearing breathable fabrics. It can get hot, especially in the summertime, particularly in the spring, which is now. It can be a bit breezy, so I would suggest gathering like a few items that can be tailored to cooler weather, let me say. Maybe a light blazer, a light sweater or jacket for the evenings. Just lighter items that you can layer up so you're warm. Now, the summer, it's super hot, so you need some flowy dresses. You need something that does not bog you down, because when it gets hot in Italy, it's really hot. So pack out the shorts, the sundresses, the more breathable items of clothing. In the summer, don't forget to pack your insect repellent. Those mosquitoes will eat you alive. Okay, don't be confused. So make sure you have some of that as well in your belongings. You also may consider carrying a portable fan as well if you're going to be standing outside in those lines to get to the Vatican Museum or Sistine Chapel or the Colosseum. it can get a bit toasty and you may need to cool down. So I suggest you consider that as well. Also in the summer months, you may consider packing a compact like beach towel or some kind of microfiber towel in case you want to have it in your luggage, just in case you try to have a beach day one day. And of course, swimsuits. You can't forget the swimsuits. So guys, as you can see, there are so many items you need to pack for a trip to Italy. This is only a small portion of the things you could potentially pack. But I do just want to say it's really dependent on the season you decide to travel to Italy and also what your style is. If you're more of like I want to see the local, clothing, and maybe you pack a little bit less to shop there, to shop here in Italy. It just depends on your style, no? Hope this gave you a bit of inspiration for what to pack when you come to Italy. And I hope it was helpful. I hope so. So thanks so much for watching, guys. And if you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe, like this video, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. And I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao, y'all.